Hi, my name is Brian Singer, artist here in San Francisco, California, in my studio at the Pacific Felt Factory building. These books are basically my collection of dystopian novels. I tend to collect all of these books and then use them in the art pieces by cutting them up and reassembling them into other things. I've been collecting mostly dystopian novels, mainly because of my love for them growing up, but in the last several years they seem like they're more applicable to what's going on in the world today. Titles like Brave New World, 1984, Catcher in the Rye, Lord of the Flies, things like that. When I was growing up, reading these books, I always felt like it was the man against the system. Like, how do you deal with the machine that is trying to control us? And when you're a kid, that's just all this fantasy of like rebelling against the system. And now that I'm an adult and part of the system, it feels much more awkward, especially since a lot of the predictions these books have made seem to be coming to fruition now. So I actually collect most of the books by going to the Friends of the Library book sales. There's a bunch of them in the Bay Area, and I'll be the guy that goes there every month, at least before COVID, and handpicks all the books or selects them based on the color of their spine, because I use a lot of those books as well. So this piece is made out of copies of Catcher in the Rye, and it's a quote from the book that reads, "Who wants flowers when you're dead? Nobody." I just love the humor that the author brought to the character in the book, and I've been turning those quotes into pieces all made out of copies of the book. So what you're looking at are pages from the book Brave New World, and what I've done is I've hand-stamped letter forms onto the pages and then cut them into these slices. These slices are then rearranged just using the edges of the paper to reform the letters, which turned into this piece right here, which reads 100 repetitions 3 nights a week for 4 years. The type's out of order, but if you've read the book, you understand that that's what they're talking about in the book, how many times you need to repeat something to make it a truth. Sort of their form of brainwashing. In these pieces, what I'm doing is I'm actually using the edges of the book. These are copies of books that have red edges that have been cut up and formed into these patterns that are then inset into a wood panel. The gray tones you see are actually copies of Bibles, so they're all edges that have been cut of Bible pages. And so the pieces are actually inset into wood panels. This here is walnut that they've been set into, and I've also done a series where they're being inset into canvas panels. So one of the bodies of work that I've created is based around repurposing flags. I take them and I disassemble them thread by thread. I then take those threads and I tie them end to end with knots and wrap those around objects to change their meaning. In this instance, I've taken 5 Mexico flags and wrapped them around a ladder. The piece is called The American Dream, and the meaning here is about how the ladder of sort of economic growth in America has been cut off to those who have basically built the country by farming our food and building our homes. And this is just some experiments I've been doing, tests on different materials and color forms of what happens if I cut out letters and insert them into a wood panel that's been covered in a canvas. These are also just materials and works in progress, pieces of books that have been cut up, arranged, and that I will turn into something else. These are all pieces from the book in 1984, some of the letter forms that were used, and as you can see, they're still loose, not glued together yet, but this is what I used when I make those letters, put them together, as well as piles of cut up books.